Hi guys, welcome back. All right, so this is going to be a bonus general message. Normally I start these out with some anecdote, something real that happened. What I will tell you guys is I have not had internet all day. It's only just now functional again, so maybe maybe it's just one of those days where communications aren't working smoothly. Technology is not working smoothly. We start with a Knight of Cups, followed by a Page of Cups. A lot of water energy, emotions. Maybe somebody's having like an emotional circuit overload, and so things aren't flowing properly. This is actually somebody who is coming in to give an apology to their mermaid, because he's riding in on his seahorse. Okay, first off, he's in his little scuba diver's suit. So he's going out of his realm of comfort. He obviously doesn't live in the world that the mermaid lives in. She is someone that, I'm not going to say she's out of his league or anything like that, but he is coming in because his heart says, I have to go talk to her. Him, her, it doesn't matter, but we're going to say him for this Knight of Cups. But that seahorse is mate for life. So if this is somebody who is saying, I need to go talk to my mermaid, I need to go and tell her I'm sorry, or I need to go offer her love, he is probably ill at ease around her, only because, again, this is not his environment. So this could be somebody that's going to be doing something a little bit scary for them, but they're motivated by love. Two of Wands, they're wondering every step they take, is this a good idea? Oh God, I feel like this is a really bad idea. This is a really bad idea. What the heck am I doing? But I can't help it. I still feel like I must. You notice that we have like this magical energy swirling round and round, and we have kind of like I don't know, there's like this magical scroll along with those magic wands, almost as if, but this is the map of life. This is the decree. This is, I can say all day that I probably shouldn't do this, but there's some higher power over me saying, but you know that you must do this, because this determines what happens next. This is one avenue that your life could go, but it's time for you to move forward and at least knock on the door so that you can figure out if that avenue is closed to you or not. You have to do this. Five of Swords. Wow. They are climbing up. Literally, this is, a skeleton climbing up out of the grave site, using these swords that are all around the grave, like to help leverage themselves upright. So I gotta say, after every battle and every fight, this relationship is over, right? And they are trying to bring it back to life. They want to fight for this now. Every fight that went wrong, they actually want to hold on to that and say, these are the words that should have been spoken but weren't. Okay, I need to say those words now. Okay, and on that other fight that we had long time ago, those are the words that I should have said and I didn't. Okay, I need to say those words now. Maybe it's too little too late, but I still have to do this. I still have to try. This is somebody who is coming back from a long time ago. Long time ago. 10 of Wands, because what they're hoping is at minimum, they can either, because I feel like what this is I loved her then and I didn't tell her. I didn't treat her like I loved her. I didn't tell her she's the one I wanted. Instead, we had fights, we had arguments, the whole thing was ruined. And it turns out this is a burden that they have lived with. This is the biggest burden of their life. We have this gigantic, octopus creature that is out there still dismantling stuff in their mind. This is like the biggest regret, I'll say, that they carry, because this was the person they wanted most in this world. There's only one in this world that they've ever met anything like her. That's the person they wanted for their soulmate, their life mate. And yet that's the person that they ended stuff with on a bad note, no less. With swords in the ground, it's like we fought and then it was silence. And while I don't know if I could undo this, the regret of having messed things up in such an ugly way with someone that I actually care this much about, that regret at minimum, if I could backtrack now and at least tell them that I really did love them, do love them, if I really at least told them how I felt about them. So I'm guessing she must think you have no respect for me. And if that is the way they behaved in the past, that's what they conveyed. That's a that's a pretty big thing that needs to be course corrected. They want to course correct it because this bothers them immensely. So at minimum, they're fighting for the ability to at least lay down the burden of whatever guilt they feel. However, if you're coming in to say sorry, you probably feel like you did something wrong. All those swords in the ground, I'm going to say there were arguments that were handled so wrong in the past. Oh my gosh. And those arguments have really bothered this person. 7 of Wands, and there's our little worrisome mice nibbling away. I feel like this person hasn't had one good night's sleep in a long time. They kind of feel like a monster. So I don't know how, if they behave like a colossal jerk, they may think, God, I was an absolute monster to her. What is changing their mindset that they feel like, I can't believe I did some of the things I did. I said some of the things I said. They get pretty worried that why would she see me differently? Even though I'm coming in to say sorry, even though I'm coming in to say, but I loved you more than anybody and I wanted you to be my partner. But then admittedly, I did this and I did that and I did that and I did this. The way I've behaved, I do feel like I was an ogre. We got a high priestess. They know how she feels about them because they can pick up on her emotions. That might be spot on how she felt about them. Like, I can't believe you would behave this way. How could you treat me that way if you loved me? What an ogre. What a monster. Okay, hold on. Character, why were you a monster? What made you go into monster mode? 7 of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles. They were in a state of tremendous frustration. Everything that they wanted in life seemed like it was going to be out of reach. Where they were was frustrated. They felt stuck. They felt like, in fact, their life had been falling apart around them. Every little golden egg was cracking. Everything was a pig pen mess. And they were so far away from having abundance. Maybe they had put a ton of time and effort into creating something for their life. And then at a certain age, they look around and they go, I can't believe this. All this has yielded has been loss. I have wasted time. And they might have been so frustrated, so disgruntled with their own perceived failures in life that they projected it outward onto her. Anytime we're unhappy and grumpy, it's like, when like 2-year-olds have a temper tantrum because they're tired. They normally are the sweetest little people on earth, and then all of a sudden they're trying to kick mommy in the shins and screeching, and and it's like, okay, this is not the way my child typically behaves. This is them on a sugar crash and an exhaustion bender. It kind of feels like they maybe acted like that. They were so frustrated with things in their own life. They felt like they'd made so many mistakes. Maybe they'd lost a lot of money. Maybe all the things they thought they'd worked so hard for. I mean, this could be somebody who's like, they were still eyebrow deep in debt. They're, 55. They should have, in their mind, they should have had their houses paid off. They should have all this, savings and 401k. And maybe instead it's like, I'm literally doing worse off than I was when I was 20. And that kind of frustration. And then looking ahead and saying, I mean, how am I even going to get in the next 20 years? If I'm 50 now and I got to get to 70, how am I going to play catch up when I'm this far in the hole? It feels like there was like money and life growth that they felt so frustrated that they had not achieved. And it was just overwhelming for them. And they might have behaved, got Knight of Swords. I feel like they went into frantic mode where on one hand, they were devastated with their own stuff. And then it was like, they got like a panic moment where, but I have to hurry and I have to try to fix all this stuff in my life and I have to fix it yesterday. And that might have made them callous. That might have made them act like, well, I don't have time to think about love. I don't have time to think about this beautiful mermaid. I mean, don't you get it? I am behind in everything that I needed to do. All of the money, all of the success I should have had. I'm behind in all of it. Okay, so that's maybe why they acted like a bit of a monster, at least for this fictional story, right? Tell me about the High Priestess. They're picking up on what they believe she feels toward them. We have got that 6 of Wands, but it's sideways. She thought that they were successful. They think she's successful. They know that she didn't know that their life was up in turmoil. So They're hoping that this one component might make the difference, might make her understand, like, I'm sorry, I was such a monster. I was in like a panic moment, a frustration moment. I took it out on you. I decided love wasn't important. The only thing that mattered was how on earth am I ever going to, pull my finances together, get my life in order. You thought I was successful. I wasn't successful. And then I went into panic mode. They think she's really successful, but they know that she only, let me just ask, how did she really think about them? How did she, especially in the past when they had these problems? The Magician, but the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse. In her mind, she said there's somebody who could have any happiness they want, but they wanted to make sure I knew it wasn't going to be with me. They did not want to give anything to me, but man, they could turn their life into anything they wanted, but they sure didn't want it with me. In fact, they were stingy. In fact, they wanted to make sure that I knew, and it means so much to them. I didn't have anything of value. She might have even felt insulted by them and felt like they were treating her as if she was kind of, bottom of the barrel. Her opinion, there is such a huge misunderstanding in all of this. And again, with so many of these stories, it's because there wasn't communication. What someone presents themselves as versus what's really happening behind the scenes, two different things. And then when you add into the mixture the lack of communication, all she's left with is, wow, this person, they act like their life is so perfect, but they sure as hell don't want anything to do with me. I don't make them happy. They are stingy with me. They don't want to offer me anything. So I guess they've got their eyes on some other, much more fabulous person, place, or thing where they want to go, something they think is worthy of them, because it damn sure isn't me. So she got nothing out of them. Nothing. No wonder she would think that they're pretty much a monster. She would probably feel insulted. Now they understand this. They know she feels that way. They know they come across as if they acted like a, belittling, rude, monstrous, but that's not what was actually happening in their life. Okay, so character, after all of this deep thought that you've gone through, you're trying to come in and say sorry to her so that at least you can lay down. Tell me about laying down that burden, that 10 of Wands. Is it because you actually feel awful that you treated her in a way that hurt her and that you came across like a monster to somebody that you actually really loved? We got the 9 of Pentacles. We got the Fool. We got the Queen of Cups. Well, they definitely feel like all the supportive, nice, sweet things that they should have said to her, I don't think they ever told her what they actually thought of her. Their behaviors insulted her, implied she wasn't worth much, which couldn't have been further from the truth. This is the part that bothers them night and day. This is the thing. They need to at least tell her how much value they see that she has, how courageous they think she is, how loving they think she is, the way they actually saw her, not the way they treated her, because they didn't treat her like that. They were too, blinded by their own frantic, impressions of their own life. And they gave her the impression that their life was perfect. So she didn't know any of this. So she thought she was just being blown off and insulted by somebody who thought she didn't have any value. They thought she was probably out of their league, a little too good for them. Her emotions were real and true. She was straightforward. Her, how she felt, she showed. She came across as somebody who was fearless, somebody who would take, steps in life and give things a whirl, and somebody who they thought she was really, really successful. Yet the way they treated her was like she wasn't worth anything. That bothers them a lot that they did that, because none of that was accurate. So they need to come back in and tell her how they actually feel about her, if only to course correct the ugliness that they kind of dealt her in the past. Tell me about that 5 of Swords. Please remember, this could be a same-sex couple, reverse gender roles. So this is about all the fights, all the silence. You got 8 of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, the Hanged Man, the Strength card. This is taking a lot of courage for them to come back in and address all of that, to say all the conversations, all the fights that existed, the times that I went silent, all the things that I should have filled you in on what was going on. It's a lot of work to do to fill you in on the full story. If there's a chance for a new beginning, even though it's been a long time coming, this is them being as brave as they can be. Um, I think she in the past was a big challenge for them because uh, I don't think they felt very good about themselves in the past, and I don't think they wanted to admit all that. There's a This is very brave of them to do this now, because they still feel like, I don't think it's going to be a good outcome. How could it when she thinks I'm an awful person because of the way I treated her? But on the other hand, there's some spiritual guidance over them saying, you need to go and do this. You know, you're not going to sleep again until you at least set this much of it right. You need to go tell her. It's not even about whether or not she'll give you a second chance. It's about you needing to set things right because you treated a good person poorly because of what you were going through. So you got to course correct it. Final message on this. The Lovers. They are coming in vulnerable. They are coming in whole. They are meeting her in the place that they should have a long time ago. She came across as a glass, transparent Queen of Cups. This is their turn to come in. They may be a Gemini. They may be showing that very vulnerable side of themselves to her this time. What's she going to do? Girl of Swords. She's going to listen real closely, and she's going to really try to figure out, does this seem true? This is like the Page of Swords. She's going to gather information. She's going to try really hard to put herself in their shoes, try really hard to understand why they behaved the way they did. How would I have been if I were in their shoes? Let me listen to every word they have to say. They're coming in to tell me the things that I should have known before, the things that actually caused me a lot of hurt and pain. Let me listen very closely and see, what do I believe? What do I think is true? You know, good for her for being able to like listen and really hear who this person is, because that she's not somebody who holds, harbors hard feelings. On the other hand, if something doesn't add up, or if she thinks that they're full of crap, she's not going to put herself out there to get hurt again. But definitely she's going to listen and comprehend who this person is, where they were at, why they were the way they were. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up.